Guitar nuts of the internet, I am Pete Thorn. Welcome to my studio, and hey, check it out. In my left hand, I hold the Revolt guitar analog amp sim from my friends at Two Notes. So I'm no stranger to Two Notes. I've been using their stuff for a long time. I have a Torpedo Captor X sitting right there. I've got my own signature Dyne-IR package with them. What's that, if you don't know? Well, it's dynamic impulse responses. It's cabinet and microphone simulation. And a while ago, I put out my own Dyne-IR package with Two Notes. And I'm using those a lot, actually, in this video. So what is this thing? All analog amplifier and cabinet simulator. Just a quick little disclaimer, in some shots in this video it looks like the tube is actually like flashing on and off in the window of the Revolt. That's not actually happening. It's just a phenomenon that happens with the frame rate my camera was set at, and I only noticed it after I'd imported all the video and already shot the footage for this video. So anyways, don't worry about that. Pay no mind to the flashing tube. That's not actually happening in real life. This is meant to capture three great amplifier sounds: an American clean sound, a British crunch sound, and a modern lead sound. Loosely based, I think, on, you know, kind of Fendery cleans, Plexi or JCM 800, and Soldano SLO, I think, was the idea with the three channels in this unit. It's got a tube in it. It's all analog. There's no digital anything going on in this box, which gets me to the cabinet simulation. There's a simple analog cabinet simulator in here that you can utilize to go out to a PA or out to a recording interface and capture a cabinet sound. You can switch it in or out right here on this little switch. The basic idea with the analog cabinet sim in this is to keep it very simple and just give you a good sort of baseline analog, you know, cabinet sound, but without any kind of bells and whistles or options, because I think what they want you to do with this is pair it maybe with something like the Cab M if you're going to use it live. So the Two Notes Cab M is a simple, small box, but with a ton of power as far as hosting impulse responses, and in particular the Two Notes Dyne-IR impulse responses that you can get from them. So if you pair this unit with a Cab M and then hook it up via MIDI, you can, to your heart's content, switch cabinet sounds. I mean, you could have anything you want: 412s, 212s, open back, close back, any kind of speaker you can imagine. It's all available in their impulse response and their Dyne-IR packages. Or do what I did in this video, which is use it with their Two Notes Wall of Sound plugin, which is something that you can use in your computer to host impulse responses and switch up cab sims and EQ and add reverb and kind of change up the cabinet and microphone sound to your heart's content. So in this video of mine, I used the Revolt with the analog cab sim a little bit. I also defeated it for most of the video and used it with Two Notes Wall of Sound within the DAW to do a bunch of different tracks and call up different cab sounds, because I wanted to see how this worked with their plugin that's supposed to go hand in hand with it. And for one of the parts, I even took the 1/4 inch out on the back here and I ran it over into that Fryette power station over there, into the line input, basically using the Fryette as just a tube power amp. So coming straight out of here into the tube power amp out on my cab in the other room, because maybe sometimes you would do that, you know, come out of this output and run into a power amp or the effect return of an amplifier and use a speaker cabinet on stage, and that sounded really good too. Most of the video I'm coming out of the balanced output here on the back, XLR, running that right into my recording interface, and like I say, I either used the analog cab sim or I defeated that, and on the channel within Logic I would add a Wall of Sound Two Notes plugin and call up one of their Dyne-IR impulse responses and dial in a cabinet sound that way. You got three buttons here to select the channels. You got your clean, you got your crunch, and you got your lead, and you've got a foot switchable boost as well there. So when you're on any one of those three channels, you can hit the button again. You can see the tube, kind of the light in there turns red, and that means you've got the boost engaged, and you can use that boost on all three channels. As far as the controls for the channels, it's very simple. You've got your clean channel over here with its own bass and treble control and a gain and volume. Here for the British crunch, you've got gain, volume. The modern lead, you've got gain and volume. And then for those overdrive channels, you've got a shared 3-band bass, middle, and treble. There's an effect loop back there, simple send and return if you want to patch pedals in there. I didn't do that in this video, but you can do it. And then you've got your MIDI in and out on those little mini jacks that a lot of companies are using now. They include a cable to go from the MIDI to like a standard sort of 5-pin MIDI connector. Okay, so now I'm going to play a little bit more through the unit. I'm going to solo some of those parts outside of the mix from the song at the beginning of the video. I'm going to show you all three channels, and I'm going to show you how I paired it with Wall of Sound within Logic to get some G12M cabinet sounds, to get some V30 cab sounds, even some open back cabinet sounds. And then I'm also going to show you what it sounds like using it as a preamp into a tube power amp and a mic'd up cabinet. Last but not least, with the analog cab sim engaged as well for one of the parts. Okay, here we go. So I've just started recording the track, and the first thing I recorded was my old Ibanez Destroyer here through the Revolt on channel 2, the Plexi channel, straight out of the XLR output, right into my recording interface. And I'm using Two Notes Wall of Sound plug-in with my signature Dyne IRs for the speaker simulation. I'm using my PT Brit G12M Blackback cabinet. This is old late 70s Blackback Celestion G12M speakers in this cabinet. And here on the plug-in, you can see I'm using a little bit of the exciter. I mean, just like the bass, the low end at 2%, and the high end at 5%, barely accentuating a little bit of low and high end, and it sounds really cool. And then the EQ, I've got just dropping the lows below 70 hertz, just shelving, and then let's see, what else am I doing? Just cutting 360 a little bit, 800 a little bit, boosting 2K a hair, and that's it, really. And then as far as the mics on the cabs go, I'm using a 57 and a AT4050. These are the mics that we did at Sunset Sound and the cabinets that we did at Sunset Sound when we made my Dyne IRs. So the analog speaker simulation is turned off in the Revolt because this is an example where I'm showing you, the ability to integrate Two Notes stuff together. So, the analog cab sim. I used it for the first melody guitar part in the song. I've got the boost active and I'm on channel 3, lots of gain going. And it's quite mid-range strong, which makes it poke, with this analog cab sim, it really pushes through the mix. It's more mid-range than I generally like. Like, I prefer the sound of like using the G12M, greenback Dyne IRs and stuff, because that's just the cab sound I like. But it does work good for lead guitar. It's got lots in the kind of like, I don't know, 900 through 2K range. It's really gonna cut through. I just cut another lead guitar part in the track, and for this I'm actually running the Revolt out through the power amp in the Fryat power station, so straight into a tube power amp and then out to the cab in the other room. This sounds really cool. Thanks for watching my video on the Revolt Guitar Analog Amp and Cabinet Simulator. 3 channels, built-in boost, you got your tube in there, it's all analog. Super simple to use, couldn't be simpler to set up and kind of get a sound within a few minutes. Really easy to use with Wall of Sound. They're a great plug-in that you can use within Logic to call up some Dyne IR cabinet impulse responses. And also, you can pair it up with a cab am and get those same great sounds. You know, their little cabinet simulator. Anything that works in Wall of Sound you can use within the cab am and get some terrific sounding cabinet simulation. Put it on a pedal board. Once again, thanks for watching my video on the Revolt. Please hit subscribe if you haven't hit the bell beside the subscribe. You'll get an alert when I put out new videos. Take care, you guys. I'm Pete Thorn.